My future father-in-law made me choose between 8 million yuan and his daughter. I could only pick one. Is that even a question? Hesitating for even a second would be a
Back to the 8 million. Only an idiot would choose his daughter. But the idiot that I was insisted on choosing her. Little did I know, that very decision would condemn me to live the next 10 years as worthless as dirt. I desperately chased after Lu Ruyan's shadow, but all I got in return was her coldness and disdainful glares. In the end, while out shopping with her one day, I took a fatal blow meant for her, and died a miserable death in a dark alley. Before I took my last breath, the last thing I saw was her completely indifferent face, as if I were just a total stranger who had nothing to do with her. In this life, I never want to repeat that same mistake, only to end up with absolutely nothing. So, keeping a calm expression, I reached out, and took the check. I looked at her father, flashing a bright smile, even showing a hint of genuine gratitude.
Thank you, sir.
Inside the luxuriously decorated private room for four, all the scolding her father had prepared to unleash were instantly choked back down. The imposing look on his face vanished immediately, replaced by sheer bewilderment. Fang Ping, her childhood friend, whose lips had been curled in a mocking sneer, also froze. As for the icy goddess, who was always so aloof and never showed any emotion, a crack appeared on her face for the very first time. I carefully folded the check and stuffed it into the pocket of my faded jeans. Then I stood up and gave him a deep bow. Rest assured, sir, starting today, I will absolutely never bother Miss Liu again. With that, I turned to look at Liu Ruyan, my voice completely calm. I'm truly sorry for bothering you so much over the past 3 years. I wish you a bright and prosperous future.
Liu Ruyan's body involuntarily
Trembled slightly. She finally deigned to look at me seriously. In those beautiful almond eyes, there was no longer that icy coldness, but rather a flood of complex, indescribable emotions. Before she could even open her mouth, I turned to leave. Fan Texi. And here I thought you had some backbone. Turns out, all this time, you're just a coward who gets starry-eyed at the sight of money. 3 years of feelings, sold out for 8 million. You really have no shame. My footsteps halted. In my past life, it was this exact remark that made me lose control in anger. Getting into a life-or-death brawl with Fang Ping, only to end up being thrown out by the Lu family security. But in this life, I only felt a mild sense of pity. Second young Master Fang, you must be joking. First of all, it wasn't 10 years. It was 3. Second, this wasn't a relationship. It was just me being a one-sided simp. Third, this isn't selling out. It's a reasonable compensation from Chairman Lu for all my hard work over the past 3 years. After all, playing the role of a devoted lapdog takes a lot of time and energy. This 8 million is neither too much nor too little. It's perfectly reasonable. I pulled open the heavy wooden door of the private room and walked out without even looking back. Inside the room, it was dead silent. Stepping out of the hotel, the glaring sunset made my eyes sting. I pulled out the check, and the string of numbers written on it felt so real it almost brought tears to my eyes. To hell with love, to hell with dignity. I finally got a second chance at life. In this life, I won't love anyone. I only love money. I wasn't in a rush to go to the bank and cash the check. Lu Zhenguo is a scheming old fox. It's highly likely he played some trick with the check, like setting a holding period, or maybe it's even a bounced check, just waiting to make a fool out of me. I hailed a cab and headed back to my rented room in the slums. The room, less than 10 square meters, was dark and noisy. The air was thick with the smell of instant noodles, grease, and a musty stench that assaulted my nose. This was the very place where, in my past life, just to be close to Liu Ruyan's university, I gritted my teeth and lived for 3 whole years. I turned on my old laptop that I'd been using for 5 years, the screen freezing for a long time before finally lighting up. I didn't rush to do anything right away, just leaned back in my chair and started planning my future. Being reborn. What is my biggest advantage? It's information, the economic trends of the next 10 years. I know which stocks will skyrocket and which industries will boom. I remember all of it clear as day. I clicked on the stock trading app and skillfully typed in a ticker symbol, Tengfei Technology. I remember it vividly. Just tomorrow, this obscure little company will announce a core chip technology patent. Its stock price will shoot straight up from 5 yuan to a whopping 200 yuan. I picked up my phone, dialed Liu Ruyan's number, and spoke in an extremely calm tone. I've packed up all the stuff you left at my place and left it outside the door. You can have someone come pick it up anytime. Also, I'm changing my phone number, so there's no need to contact me ever again. Without waiting for her reply, I hung up straight away, took out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and tossed it right into the trash. The world was finally quiet. Early the next morning, I went straight to the bank, Surprisingly, cashing the check went incredibly smoothly. It wasn't until my phone pinged with a text, showing a long string of numbers added to my account, that I truly believed my life was finally getting a fresh start. Without a moment's hesitation, I transferred the entire 8 million into my brokerage account, going all in on Tengfei Technology stock. As I walked out of the stock exchange, my whole body suddenly felt strangely light. Now that the burden was lifted, all I had to do was quietly wait. I didn't go back to that moldy rented room, but headed straight to the most expensive hotel downtown and booked a presidential suite. Soaking in the hot tub, sipping on chilled champagne, and gazing at the bustling city lights outside the window, I felt a bit dazed, like I was in a dream. Just as my mind was wandering, my phone dinged, receiving a text from an unknown number. It was from Liu Ruyan. Fan Taxi, where are you? Did you throw away everything I gave you? I didn't bother replying, and just blocked the number. In this life, I'm going to treat myself well. For the next week, I lived a carefree life that I wouldn't have dared to dream of before.
Waking up naturally every day.
Going up to the hotel's rooftop revolving restaurant to enjoy exquisite breakfasts. In the afternoons, it'd sweat it out at the gym, or kill time soaking in the pool. At night, it'd go out to admire Zhangcheng's nightscape. I threw away my cheap t-shirts and jeans, and bought several perfectly tailored high-end suits.
Clothes make the man.
That saying couldn't be more true.
Wealth really is a man's greatest backing.
As for Tengfei Technology stock, I was too lazy to even check on it. That evening, I invited a few friends to Zhangcheng's most luxurious private club, Yunding Tiangong, for some drinks. With the bass thumping in my ears, the air was thick with the scent of money and hormones. In my past life, I never had the right to step foot in a place like this, but right now I was sitting in the most exclusive VIP section. Young Master Fan. Have another glass. The model next to me cooed, leaning seductively against me. I smiled at her, but before I could speak, I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure out of the corner of my eye. It was Liu Ruyan. Why was she here? Accompanying her was Fang Ping and a bunch of unfamiliar rich kids. Fang Ping was spitting everywhere, bragging about something, while Liu Ruyan kept her usual cold expression, completely out of place amidst the noise. She saw me too. The moment our eyes met, a flash of shock appeared in her eyes, along with confusion and an unconcealable disgust. Fang Ping followed her gaze, and an exaggerated mocking smirk instantly spread across his face. He pushed through the crowd and strode toward me, deliberately raising his voice to draw everyone's attention. Well, isn't this the infamous simp Fan Taxi? What's up? Took Uncle Leah's 8 million and came here to blow it all. Feeling like you've reached the peak of your life, the guys behind him burst into laughter, playing along, mockingly calling me a stalker, saying I sold myself out for 8 million, and that I was a disgrace to men. The two friends sitting next to me suddenly looked very awkward and wanted to get up and leave. I gently pressed my hands on their shoulders, signaling them to stay. I raised my glass, slowly swirling the whiskey, without even sparing him a glance. Young Master Fang, long time no see. How's your family's business doing? I heard some of the Fang Group's overseas projects are running into a bit of trouble. What the hell are you babbling about? I took a sip of my drink and continued. Your family's port project in Southeast Asia, due to changes in local policies, along with the chip agency rights you failed to secure earlier, didn't Jiangxi Capital snatch them right out from under you? With those two deals alone, your family must have lost at least 500 million, right? These pieces of news, I had seen them all on the financial reports in my past life. Cold sweat instantly beaded on Fang Ping's forehead. Those were his company's top internal secrets. Unknown to anyone outside the board of directors, you investigated me? I set my glass down, finally looking him straight in the eye, my voice icy. Young Master Fang, you think way too highly of yourself. You're not worth it. I stood up, towering over him by half a head, looking down at him with eyes full of contempt. Better go clean up your family's mess, instead of acting like a mad dog biting everyone in sight. The mocking laughter around us gradually died down. Everyone realized something was off about the atmosphere. Fang Ping was so suppressed by my aura that he completely shut down, his mouth hanging open, unable to squeeze out a single word. I ignored him, pulled a stack of cash from my wallet and slapped it on the table. Ladies, it's been fun tonight. Grab a cab home later. With that, I adjusted my suit collar and walked right past Fang Ping. As I passed by Liu Ruyan, my footsteps paused slightly. She was staring at me, the shock in her eyes even more intense than back in the hotel room. The corners of my lips curled up, revealing a smile, full of hidden meaning. Classmate Liu, you should learn to judge people better. After saying that, I turned and walked away, leaving behind a resolute and heartless silhouette. Leaving the club, I didn't go back to the hotel, but drove straight to the airport. This place, Yuncheng, held too much pain and obsession from my past life. Now that I've made my first pot of gold, it's time to change locations and start a new life. The flight took off at dawn, heading for Zhangcheng. On the plane, I turned off my phone, leaned back in the plush seat, and fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, The plane had already landed at Jiangcheng International Airport. Stepping out of the airport, breathing in Jiangcheng's air, which was full of opportunities, I felt a surge of energy coursing through my body. I wasn't in a hurry to buy a house, but went straight to the most high-end service department by the Jiangcheng River, Jiangfan Mansion, and signed a long-term lease. Standing before the 360-degree floor-to-ceiling windows, taking in the magnificent night view of the Riverside Avenue, I knew clearly that this was my true stage. The next day, right as the stock market opened, I received a call from my broker. His voice was trembling with excitement. "Mr. Fan, it's up." Tengfei Technology hit the daily limit. I just gave a nonchalant, Then instructed, "Don't sell until it hits 150. Hanging up, I started planning my next move. Making money just by day trading stocks is only fast cash. The foundation isn't solid. I want to build my own empire, relying on my memories from being reborn. I knew with absolute certainty that in the next few years,
Online healthcare.
new energy vehicles and artificial intelligence would be the ultimate cash cows. I spent a whole week pulling countless all-nighters to draft an incredibly detailed business plan. I wanted to establish an investment firm, specializing in hunting down and funding startups with high potential. A month later, Tengfei Technology's stock, exactly as predicted, skyrocketed all the way to 150 yuan. The money in my brokerage account, from the initial 8 million, had turned into 300 million. I cashed out completely without a second thought. Money is only safe once it's in your pocket. With this startup capital, Dynasty Capital was officially established in Jiangcheng. The office was located on the top floor of the Global Trade Center, in the Zhongshan New District. I started recruiting aggressively, using salaries and commissions far above the market average to poach top analysts and traders from major investment banks. At first, those financial elites were still a bit unconvinced by this young guy, in his early 20s, who was still wet behind the ears. But after I accurately predicted 3 circuit breakers and led them to short the market, making 50 million USD in a single day, the way everyone looked at me completely changed. My life also grew increasingly busy, with endless meetings every day, financial reports that never seemed to end, and non-stop meetings with partners. I gradually forgot about Yuncheng, forgot about Lu Ruyan, and forgot about that shameful past, until one day, my secretary placed a gold-stamped invitation on my desk. "Mr. Fan, next week at the Nanchang Exhibition Center, there will be an international summit. This is an invitation from the organizers, hoping you can attend." I picked it up and skimmed through it, and when my eyes landed on the list of co-organizers, my fingers paused slightly. The Liu Group really is like a lingering ghost. "Cancel it for me?" The secretary looked troubled. "Mr. Fan, the scale of this summit is massive. Nearly half of the global Fortune 500 companies will be there. Furthermore, the organizer's representative is young Master Zhou, the son of Hong Kong's richest billionaire, and he specifically requested your presence." I thought for a moment, then agreed. "Then let's go." A week later, I boarded the flight to Nanchang as scheduled. After landing, I headed straight to the exhibition center. But unexpectedly, the moment I stepped into the hall, Fang Ping charged toward me, burning with rage. His eyes were bloodshot, looking like a wild beast backed into a corner. "Fan Texi, what the hell did you do?" Standing under the dazzling crystal chandeliers, Fang Ping grabbed tightly onto my suit collar, refusing to let go. Just moments ago, he had received news that the Fang Group's Seaport project was officially suspended indefinitely. I looked down at his trembling hands. Half a month ago, he was still the arrogant and haughty second young Master Fang, but now in my eyes, he was nothing but a dancing clown. "Young Master Fang, this suit is very expensive. You probably can't afford to replace it right now." I reached up and grabbed his wrist, applying a little force to twist it. With a piercing shriek, Fang Ping clumsily let go. Clutching his wrist, his face contorted in pain. I slowly smoothed out the wrinkles on my suit. "Dynasty Capital. Where did you get the capital? How could you possibly know my family's trump card?" "It's all thanks to the 8 million Uncle Liu gave me, which helped me seize the opportunity with Tengfei Technology, leading to the Dynasty Capital of today." My single nonchalant sentence was like a sharp blade, plunging straight into Fang Ping's heart. He stood frozen on the spot, his face as pale as a sheet of paper. Right then, Lu Ruyan, wearing a long white dress, stepped out from the crowd. Her eyes were filled with shock and confusion. She hurried over to me. "Fan Texi, do you really have to be so heartless?" I turned my head to look at her. The face of the person I had loved passionately for 3 years, eat this moment in my eyes, was just like any other stranger passing by. "Miss Liu, the business world is a battlefield. Back when Fang Ping was making things difficult and humiliating me for no reason, you didn't seem to think he was being heartless." Lu Ruyan opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but couldn't utter a single word. I didn't bother paying them any more attention, and under the gaze of the crowd, walked straight into the VIP seating area inside the banquet hall. I walked over to young Master Zhou, and gently clinked glasses with him. We hit it off right away, and quickly finalized our collaboration project. Dynasty Capital would join hands with the Zhou Group to jointly develop a new energy project. Brother, you truly are young and promising. You've got a really sharp eye for this energy sector. I'm just going with the flow. You flatter me, Brother Zhou. I raised my glass in return after seeing young Master Zhou off. I was just about to leave the hall myself. At that moment, the door to the lounge was pushed open.
Lu Ruyan walked in.
She no longer had that arrogant air from the banquet, and in her eyes was a weariness and pleading I had never seen before. She spoke softly. Can we talk for a bit? Not about business, just a simple talk. I sat back down on the sofa, poured myself a glass of warm water, and said flatly, Miss Lu, I have a cross-border meeting this afternoon. You have 3 minutes.
You never used to call me that.
That 8 million was just my dad wanting to test you. He never actually wanted to drive you away.
Really?
Hearing this, I almost burst out laughing. A test. Throwing 8 million in someone's face. Standing by and watching them get thrown out by security. And you call that a test? If Miss Lu came here just to spout this nonsense, then you can leave now. I don't have the time. Lu Ruyan stood frozen, tears welling up in her eyes. Finally spilling over, I stood up, grabbed my coat, and walked right past her. The moment we brushed past each other, I didn't even turn my head. Miss Lu, there's no need to bring up any of that emotional nonsense in the future. Between us now, there is only business. On the third day after returning to Jiangcheng, I received a call from Lu Zhengguo. His voice was no longer as booming and authoritative. It was half a month ago. Instead, it was filled with unconcealable anxiety and fury. Fan Texi, what the hell are you trying to do? It's one thing that you snatched the Fang family's project, but now you're buying up the Liu Group's retail shares? I was sitting in my top floor office, admiring the river view of Jiangcheng. I casually put the phone on speaker, my tone extremely calm.
Chairman Lu, you were the one who taught me
That in business there are only permanent interests. I feel that the Liu Group's stock has great investment value. Is there a problem with that? The sound of shattering glass came from the other end of the line. Clearly, Chairman Lu was furious to the extreme. You're taking revenge. Just because of Ruyan, you want to destroy the entire Lu family. You think too highly of Miss Lu? Revenge. I'm just making a lucrative business deal. With that, I hung up the phone and immediately blocked Lu Zhengguo's number. I looked at my computer screen, watching the Liu Group's stock price constantly fluctuating, feeling strangely at peace. The Liu Group might have looked glorious and imposing on the outside all these years, but in reality, it was all smoke and mirrors, rotting from the inside out. Its internal structure had long been decaying on all fronts. Just a gentle push, and this seemingly colossal business empire would instantly crumble to pieces. Not long after, my secretary knocked and entered. Mr. Fan, Miss Lu Ruyan is downstairs. She insists on seeing you. She says she'll wait as long as it takes. I gently wipe the Patek Philippe watch on my wrist, a mocking, meaningful smile playing on my lips. Half a month ago, I couldn't even step through the Lu family's door. Half a month later, the eldest daughter of the Lu family has to stand miserably waiting outside my office door. Tell her to keep waiting.
Wait until I finish reviewing this report.
2 hours later, Lu Ruyan was brought into my office. She looked incredibly haggard. Her previously flawless makeup couldn't hide the dark circles and exhaustion. She was tightly clutching a stack of documents in her hands. The final restructuring agreement for the Liu Group. Fan Taxi, I'm begging you, please stop. My dad's health isn't good. If the Liu Group collapses, he won't be able to take it. I swiveled my chair, looking at this once unattainable icy goddess, feeling nothing but ridicule in my heart. If you're going to beg someone, you should at least have the attitude of a beggar. Holding that restructuring agreement in your hands, I have absolutely no interest in reading it. Then what do you want? As long as we can save the Liu Group, I'll agree to any condition. Really. I stood up and walked over to her. She instinctively took a step back, a flash of panic in her eyes. I pointed at the documents she was holding, snatched them away, and shoved them straight into the shredder. I want a 51% controlling stake in the Liu Group, and Lu Zhengguo must publicly apologize to me. Impossible. My dad will absolutely never agree to this condition. Absolutely not. I sat back down in my chair behind the desk, my gaze turning sharp and icy, without an ounce of compromise. Then there's nothing left to talk about. Miss Lu, if he doesn't agree before the market closes tomorrow, by then the Liu family won't just lose the company, but will also be saddled with massive debt. Bear the consequences yourselves.
Lu Ruyan collapsed into the chair.
Her face deathly pale. She looked at me. If she were looking at a demon. Get out. Don't hold up my money-making. I coldly ordered her to leave. Lu Ruyan stumbled out of the office. A few days later, I sat in my Rolls-Royce looking at the Liu Group building, with countless debt collectors gathered below, my face completely expressionless. Liu Zhengguo must be sitting in his office right now, frantically calling those who used to be his ride-or-die brothers, begging them to lend a helping hand. Through the directly connected Bluetooth earpiece came Lu Zhengguo's desperate roar. Old Li, When your company had cash flow problems, I was the one who pulled you up. Now, I just need those few retail shares of the Lu Group you hold, and you dare to talk to me about market price. Do you have any conscience left? Listening to this, a cold smile crept onto my lips. Lu Zhenguo still hasn't figured it out. In this business world where interests come first, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. And since I offered old Li 3 times the market price, he had absolutely no reason to refuse. Since Chairman Lu refuses to apologize, then let's add fuel to the fire. I called my subordinates to give the order. After hanging up, I signaled my secretary to initiate phase 2 of the plan. Less than 10 minutes later, news that the Lu Group was involved in financial fraud and tax evasion was plastered all over the front pages of the financial sections. This was the grand gift I had painstakingly prepared for the Lu family. Impossible. Only the top executives in the company know about these books. Fantexi, how the hell did you get your hands on them? Lu Zhenguo's voice came through the listening device. I listened without a single ripple of emotion in my heart. Uncle Liu, this is only the beginning. I whispered. The Lu Group's stock price plummeted uncontrollably. Its market cap evaporated by over 10 billion in just a single hour. At dusk, a torrential downpour hit Jiangcheng. Raindrops the size of beans pounded against the car windows, making a loud pattering sound. I grabbed a black umbrella and stepped out of the Global Trade Center, and immediately spotted Lu Ruyan standing in the rain. She didn't have an umbrella. Her entire body soaked to the bone. Her hair was plastered messily across her face. That back that used to be so proud was now hunched over pitifully. Seeing me appear, she immediately rushed over, but was stopped a few steps away by my bodyguards. Fantexi, please save my dad. He had a heart attack and is in the hospital. He wants to apologize to you in person. I'm begging you. I stopped in my tracks, looking at her through the curtain of rain.
Water streamed down her cheeks.
Impossible to tell if it was rain or tears. If apologies worked, what would we need the police for? Miss Liu, go home. Stop putting on this pity act here. It's pointless. You were never like this before. Before, even if I just caught a cold, you'd be heartbroken for half the day.
Why have you become so cold-blooded now?
Because the Fantexi who used to feel heartbroken for you already died rotting in that dark alley.
Once before.
Right now in my eyes, there is only money, no feelings. I sidestepped her and walked toward the Rolls-Royce parked by the curb. Lu Ruyan wailed in despair behind me. She even blurted out words that surprised me. Fantexi, as long as you let the Lu family go, I'll agree to anything, even marrying you. Marry me, Miss Liu? With your current net worth, you're not even qualified to be a receptionist at my dynasty capital. The car door slammed shut, completely shutting out the wind, the rain, and her wailing. The Lu Group's shareholder meeting took place as scheduled. I pushed open the door to the conference room. The previously noisy room suddenly fell dead silent. The eyes of all the shareholders locked onto me. I strode straight to the chairman's seat, the symbol of supreme power. The seat that used to belong to Lu Zhenguo, but now it's mine.
Boss Fan, look.
The shares in our hands. We've already signed all the transfer agreements. From now on, the Lu Group is entirely in your hands. A few shareholders hurriedly stepped forward, fawning over me, their faces plastered with flattering smiles. These old foxes flipped faster than turning the pages of a book. I flipped through the documents in front of me, scanning the room. Looking at everyone seated there, my tone cold and leaving no room for doubt. From today onward, this place will no longer be called the Lu Group. It will be renamed Dynasty Technology. All relatives and family members of the Lu family must leave the company within 1 hour. Clear out your workspaces completely. As soon as I finished speaking, a commotion broke out in a corner of the room. Lu Xiaojun barged in, screaming like a madman. Fantexi, what gives you the right to kick me out? This company belongs to my family. You're just a little punk who got lucky.
Let go of me.
Didn't you hear what I just said? The bodyguards immediately rushed over, grabbed Lu Xiaojun by the collar, and dragged him out like a little chicken. His curses echoed down the hallway, but not a single shareholder dared to step up and say a word in his defense. I turned to look at Lu Ruyan, who was sitting at the far end of the conference table. She kept her head down, her hands tightly clasped together. Miss Lu, for the sake of our past, I've left a house for you. Take your dad and move in there. At least you won't end up homeless on the streets. My voice was calm, without a shred of pity. Lu Ruyan slowly raised her head. Her eyes were lifeless, like a puppet. Without saying a word, she stood up and quietly walked out of the conference room. I stood on the balcony, the riverside night view of Jiangcheng fully displayed before my eyes. The collapse of the Lu family had sent massive shockwaves through Jiangcheng's financial circles, but I knew very well in my heart, this was just a single brick in building my business empire. Brother Fan, the way you handled the Lu family, you did it cleanly and decisively. But that plot of land zoned for chip manufacturing you've got your eye on, lately I'm afraid, it won't be that easy to swallow. Brother Zhou, did you hear some news? Young Master Zhou pointed toward a banquet table not far away. A woman was sitting there. Her gaze was as sharp as a sword just drawn from its sheath. Her entire being exuded an aura that screamed, "Stay away."
That's Bai Ningbing.
The helmsman of the Bai family in Beidou, and the absolute overlord of the artificial intelligence sector. For the next 10 years, the Bai family is also eyeing this chip project. This woman has a nickname, the Red-Haired Demoness. Her ruthlessness goes far beyond anything you can imagine. If the opponent is too weak, then there's no point in playing. As if sensing my gaze, Bai Ningbing slowly turned her head and raised her glass toward me, in the smile playing on her lips. Hid an undisguised scrutiny and provocation. In my past life, the Bai family waited another 3 years before marching into the Jiangcheng market. I didn't expect that because of my rebirth. The butterfly effect had kicked in, causing this formidable opponent to show up early. I responded with a polite smile, then turned and walked away. After finishing the handover procedures for the Liu family, for some inexplicable reason, I drove back to the slums where I used to live. The place was still as dark and damp as ever. The narrow alley reeked of pungent cigarette smoke. Glancing toward the end of the alley, there was a familiar figure, struggling to carry a heavy cardboard box. It was Liu Ruyan. Didn't expect this, did you? I ended up having to move to the place you used to live. Is this the revenge you wanted? She leaned against the peeling wall, tightly clutching a cheap pack of instant noodles in her hand. How ridiculous. The eldest daughter of the Liu family, who never had to lift a finger, who used to refuse to step foot in anything but high-end restaurants, is now arguing until she's red in the face over 100 yuan for rent with the landlord. I never thought about revenge. I'm just taking back what was rightfully mine. As for how you live, it has nothing to do with me. Fan Texi. If you hadn't taken that check back then, if things hadn't changed, would you have loved me for the rest of your life? Hearing this question, I paused for a moment, then chuckled softly. This question had kept me awake for countless nights in my past life. But at this moment, it felt incredibly bland and pale. There are no ifs. Miss Liu, people can't just live in the past forever. I pulled a stack of cash from my pocket and placed it on the cardboard box next to her.
This isn't out of pity for you. It's to end things completely.
This is the last time it'll help you. Daunt, let me see you again. I turned my back and took long strides toward the luxury car parked at the end of the alley. From behind came Liu Ruyan's muffled sobs, echoing back and forth in the narrow alley. Dark clouds pressed low over Jiangcheng's skyline, creating a suffocating atmosphere. In the tea room, Bai Ningbing sat across from me. She had swapped her usual black suit for a dark purple chuangsam. She looked quite a bit more gentle and elegant, but the aggressiveness in her eyes hadn't diminished at all. She lowered her head, fiddling with the tea set. Boiling water was poured into the teapot,
White steam curling upward.
Boss Fan, I heard that for that chip manufacturing land. You trampled the Liu family right into the mud. Boss Bai, your information is very sharp, but that was just a normal commercial exchange. It doesn't count as trampling. In my past life, Bai Ningbing was famous for her ruthlessness in the business world. She was best at exploiting information gaps to pressure people step by step, driving her opponents into a corner. Unfortunately, the person Shess facing today is me, someone holding memories 10 years ahead of time. All her schemes are useless in front of me. That chip project. The Bai family must have it. Name your price, and withdraw from the bidding. Boss Bai, do you think money is what I lack? She froze for a moment, clearly not expecting me to refuse so decisively. She must have investigated my background in her files. I'm still just a poor, lowly punk who, for a multi-million yuan check, was willing to sell out his dignity. But what she doesn't know is, my appetite right now is much bigger than she could ever imagine. Fan Texi doing business requires thinking long-term. Offending the Bai family won't bring a single ounce of benefit to your dynasty capital. Boss Bai, I have a bad habit. The more people forbid me from touching something, the more I want to try. The atmosphere in the tea room instantly dropped to the freezing point. Bai Ningbing didn't touch that refreshing cup of tea, but suddenly stood up. Her high heels clicked against the wooden floor, making a sharp, cold sound. When she reached the door, she suddenly stopped, tilted her head, and looked at me. I hope your backbone can hold up until the bidding next week. The door slammed shut. I set my teacup down and looked out at the bustling city outside the window. The Bai family's interference is indeed a problem, but on the list of future events in my head, Bai Ningbing next week, due to the failure of an overseas merger, plunging into a severe capital chain crisis.
This is my trump card.
The hospital corridor was eerily quiet. The pungent smell of disinfectant filled the air. I pushed open the door to the ward, only to see Liu Zhengguo lying on the hospital bed, with an oxygen tube in his nose, his face deathly pale. It had only been half a month since we last met, but he had withered away completely, his once black hair now completely white. Liu Ruyan sat by the bed, head bowed, peeling an apple. Her movements were stiff and clumsy.
What are you doing here?
Here to watch the Liu family become a laughingstock.
am not that bored.
I'm here to inform Chairman Liu of something. Liu Zhenguo slowly opened his eyes, his cloudy gaze struggling to focus on me. He opened his mouth, his voice so hoarse it was barely audible.
You win.
The Liu group is gone.
What more do you want?
I want the property deed to the Liu family's old factory in Nanchang. In exchange, I'll cover all your medical bills. And I'll arrange a decent job for Liu Ruyan. The apple slipped from Liu Ruyan's hand and hit the floor. She snapped her head up to glare at me, her eyes swirling with humiliation, anger, but mostly a profound sense of helplessness. Fan Texi, do you really have to bury the last shred of the Liu family's dignity? Dignity is earned, not given by others.
Chairman Liu.
Sign it.
Liu Zhenguo used his trembling, bony hand on the document to sign his name. The moment he put the pen down, it seemed to drain the very last ounce of his strength. I put the document away and turned to leave. No one knew that. Beneath that seemingly ordinary rundown factory lay a future subway line planned by the government that would turn it into a core commercial district. In my past life, the Liu family failed to see its value and sold it cheap to the Fang family. In this life, that fat piece of meat is destined to be mine. Reaching the door of the ward, I stopped, and with my back to Liu Ruyan, I said, "Tomorrow, go to Dynasty Capital's HR department to report for duty.
You'll be my personal assistant.
This is your last chance." The next day, Liu Ruyan wore a dark gray business suit. Standing in front of my desk, her posture was stiff, both hands tightly gripping a folder. I didn't look up, continuing to flip through the bidding documents in my hand, my tone indifferent. "Assistant Liu, make 10 copies of this document. At 3 p.m. today, come with me to meet Bai Ningbing. The Bai family's influence in Beidou runs very deep. Do you really want to clash with them head-on?" She couldn't help but speak up, a hint of worry mixed in her voice. "You just need to follow orders. No questions asked." The atmosphere at the afternoon bidding was incredibly tense. Bai Ningbing led her core team and sat on the left. Everyone looked calm and composed, confident of victory. I sat on the right, with only Liu Ruyan behind me. When the host announced the start of the bidding, Bai Ningbing immediately threw out a sky-high price that made everyone gasp. The entire hall was in an uproar. Liu Ruyan leaned close to my ear, a touch of panic in her voice.
Boss Fan, are you still going to match this price?
"No." But I advised Boss Bai to answer her secretary's call first. Bai Ningbing frowned, looking completely baffled,
Right then, her secretary rushed in.
and whispered a few words in her ear. In an instant, Bai Ningbing's face turned from pale to green, and finally, deathly white. How could he know? Exactly 10 minutes ago, the Bai family's merger deal in Europe was urgently halted due to operational violations. Their capital chain was completely broken, and I had known all of this long in advance. "You did this?" I just knew the outcome beforehand. "Boss Bai, if the Bai family can't cough up the money right now, then I won't hold back on this chip project." I raised my bidding paddle and called out a price slightly lower than the Bai family's. The hall erupted in an uproar once again. All eyes were fixed on me. Bai Ningbing glared at me, looking like she wanted to eat me alive. After the bidding ended, I stepped out of the elevator, only to see Bai Ningbing leaning against my car door, looking a bit disheveled. "Fan Texi, who exactly are you?" A punk barely in his 20s. Couldn't possibly have such foresight and tactics. Who I am isn't important. What's important is, Boss Bai is currently in desperate need of funds to plug the hole in Europe. She snapped her head up to look at me, her eyes full of guarded shock. This was the Bai family's most highly classified crisis. She hadn't let a single drop of information leak out. Yet I could just casually blurt it out. "The Bai family's foundation in Beidou runs deep. I don't want to fight you to the death. I want full control over the Bai family's artificial intelligence labs in the south. I'll inject 5 billion in capital to help you tide over this crisis. You're really fishing in troubled waters." "That's right. But Boss Bai should understand. Other than me, no one dares to throw money at the Bai family right now." Bai Ningbing stayed silent for a long time. She was a smart woman, naturally knowing what to choose between pride and survival. Which one to pick? After a while, she looked at me, a complex emotion flashing in her eyes. There was hatred. There was reluctance, but mostly an unspeakable wariness. "Deal. But I have one condition. I want to invest in Dynasty Capital.
Fine.
But you'll only receive dividends. You won't have a say in any decision-making." I pulled the car door open, signaling Liu Ruyan to get in. The night view by the river in Zhangcheng was as beautiful as a dream. I sat at the dining table, across from Liu Ruyan. She worked her ass off today, even volunteering for overtime, helping me sort through all the documents regarding the Bai family's labs. The current her was looking more and more like a qualified assistant. "Fan Texi, thank you. Thank you for covering my dad's medical bills. And thank you for letting me see all this. Don't mention it. This is compensation for your hard work."
Liu Ruyan, you must remember.
Remember well in this world, weakness is the original sin. She didn't say anything, just quietly gazed at the seamless night view of the river. Acquiring the Bai family's AI labs meant I had officially secured my ticket into the artificial intelligence sector. The wind of this industry for the next 5 years was now firmly in the palm of my hand. I ordered a bottle of red wine, looking at the dazzling lights on the other side of Zhongcheng, my eyes rippling with ambition. Will you continue to target the Liu family in the future? The Liu family is no longer worth my time. My goal is the vast sea of stars. Lu Ruyan looked at me, a never-before-seen emotion suddenly appearing in her eyes. But I didn't care about any of that. I stood up, adjusted my suit jacket, my gaze resolute. Inside the AI lab, hundreds of servers were emitting a low hum. The logo that once belonged to the Bai family had long been replaced by the Dynasty Capital logo. I watched the data streams dancing across the screens, knowing full well that these seemingly cold lines of code were the goldmine of the next decade. Lu Ruyan walked over hugging a stack of reports, her movements much smoother than before. Boss Fan, the chief scientist, Professor Dong, wants to see you. Hez extremely dissatisfied with your drastic budget cuts to the traditional teams. Let him in. A moment later, a gray-haired old man furiously pushed the door open and stormed in, his face full of rage. Listen here, Fantexi. Do you know anything about scientific research? Throwing all the funding into neural networks is a dead end. Professor Dong, there are no dead ends here, only shortcuts to the top. I walked up to the whiteboard, picked up a marker, and casually jotted down a few core formulas. This is a deep learning algorithm that wouldn't be made public until 3 years later. In my past life, it was light years ahead of the current technological level. Professor Dong's face, previously flushed with anger, instantly froze. He stared blankly at the formulas on the board. His breathing started to grow heavy. His rough fingers trembling slightly. This? How is this possible? This logical structure, how could you have come up with it? I'm a businessman. I only look at results. Just do as I say. I want to see a prototype within 3 months. Professor Dong looked at me like I was a monster. After a long while, he quietly took the paper with the formulas, turned around, and hurried away. Having secured my foothold in the AI sector, I immediately shifted my focus to the new energy. Automotive industry. In my past life, this industry created countless trillion-dollar business legends, and lithium mines were the most core resource of the new energy automotive industry. I came here today, specifically to obtain that most crucial lithium mining license. The hall was packed with business tycoons. Bai Ningbing was also there. She had regained her usual sharp, elite demeanor, chatting amiably with a few foreign businessmen. Seeing me, she walked over. Boss Fan, you haven't even fully figured out AI yet, and you already want to dabble in new energy batteries. Such a big appetite. Careful you don't choke. How would Boss Bai know without trying? On the contrary, the Bai family. Have you plugged that hole in Europe yet? Bai Ningbing's face stiffened for a moment, but she quickly recovered, taking a sip of her wine as if nothing happened. I hereby announce, the enterprise that has won the priority mining rights for the Northwest Lithium Mine is Dynasty Capital. The entire hall gasped in shock. Countless eyes converged like spotlights, shining directly on me. The wine glass in Bai Ningbing's hand shook, spilling a few drops of red wine. She looked at me in sheer disbelief. She had clearly teamed up with 3 industry giants, laying an inescapable net to suppress me. But she never expected that I had already bypassed them and directly signed an industrial support agreement with the local government.
When did you go to the Northwest?
My people have been tracking your schedule every day. They never saw you go to the Northwest. Boss Bai, what's the use of just staring at my car? You should be staring at my mind. I led Lu Ruyan and strode straight ahead. After securing the lithium mining rights, I temporarily set aside my work and returned to Yunqing to handle one last piece of business. The Liu family's old mansion had long been sealed off, with sealing tape plastered across the main gates, because Liu Zhenguo was suspected of economic crimes. He was banned from leaving the country. He could only stay in the annex of the old mansion. I pushed the door open, and a strong, musty smell hit my face. Liu Zhenguo sat in a wheelchair, with his back to the door, staring blankly out the window. Hearing the noise, he slowly turned his head. Seeing it was me, a flash of resentment crossed his eyes, before returning to a dead silence. You're here came to see if I'm dead yet, right? I'm here to take back the old things I gave Ruyan back then. I pointed at the rusty iron box in the corner. It contained all the little gifts that, in my past life, I had scrimped and saved for 3 years to buy for Lu Ruyan. Lu Ruyan stood outside the door, looking at that iron box, her eyes suddenly turning red. Fantexi. I've always kept those things. I never threw them away. Keeping them is meaningless now.
Chairman Liu, the money you owe the bank.
I've paid it all off for you. Lu Zhenguo snapped his head to look at me, a faint glimmer of hope flashing in his eyes. From now on, You and the Lu group have nothing to do with each other. Ruyan will stay in Jiangcheng to work. I'll pay her a full salary every month. I picked up the heavy iron box without another word. I decisively turned and walked out of the courtyard. Reaching the end of the alley, I took that iron box and tossed it straight into a roadside trash can, watching it get swept away by an approaching garbage truck. At that moment, I felt some invisible shackle within me, completely shattered. 3 a.m. The night sky of Jiangcheng was dead silent. I was still sitting in my office, with a few urgently intercepted smear articles spread out in front of me. The Fang family. Even though Fang Ping was in prison, the rest of the Fang family still refused to give up. They had colluded with some media outlets jealous of Dynasty Capital's growth, attempting to spread rumors, smearing my funding sources as shady. Lu Ruyan pushed the door open and walked in, her eyes full of exhaustion, but still maintaining a professional demeanor. Boss Fan, the legal department has sent out cease and desist letters, but public opinion is still brewing. Some are even spreading rumors that you're illegally raising funds. This low-level illegal fundraising trick won't touch me. I took a sip of coffee, looking at the quiet street outside the window, a cold glint flashing in my eyes. Take all our tax receipts, certificates, and audit reports to the government agencies. Make everything completely transparent. Also contact Mr.
Zhou.
Tell him to prepare a joint statement for tomorrow. Yes, I'll get right on it. Lu Ruyan turned to leave, then paused for a moment. Fantexi. Then paused for a moment. Fantexi. You should get some sleep. You haven't slept in 2 days. Finish your work and go rest. Tomorrow morning, when the market opens, I'll make those rumor mongers lose everything. The storm of public opinion quickly subsided. The media outlets spreading rumors implicated in defamation were shut down one after another. Dynasty Capital's market value not only didn't drop, but thanks to Mr. Zhu publicly vouching for us, it surged by another 30%. I stood on the balcony again, with the dazzling night view of Jiangcheng behind me. Bai Ningbing walked over in her high heels, holding a new cooperation agreement, a smile playing on her lips. Fantexi, you really don't seem like a young man in his early 20s at all. Sometimes I get the feeling that inside this youthful body of yours resides an old monster who has weathered countless storms. Is Boss Bai praising me or mocking me? I took the agreement and flipped through a few pages. The Bai family's labs in the south have been fully merged into Dynasty technology. Our first-generation AI chips are about to enter mass production. This means I'll officially go from a speculator to a true tech titan. Someone in Beidou has their eye on you. The Bai family can protect you for now, but we can't protect you forever. You need to prepare an exit strategy. I don't need an exit strategy. I always move forward. Every step I take is a path to survival. Lu Ruyan walked over holding a jacket and gently draped it over my shoulders. She was now completely accustomed to her role. Docile and obedient, I looked at the distant lights, knowing full well in my heart that all of this was just the beginning. Beidou. In my past life, I didn't even have the right to set foot there. In this life, I want all the powers there to engrave the name Fantexi into their minds. I turned around and strode into the office. Bai Ningbing and Liu Ruyan, one on the left, one on the right, followed behind me. 10,000 meters above, amidst rolling clouds, the plane tore through the sky, heading straight for Beidou. I leaned back in the spacious leather seat, flipping through the map of Baidu's power distribution provided by Bai Ningbing. Lu Ruyan sat in the seat next to me, meticulously double-checking the itinerary for after we landed. Boss Fan, the airport pickup has been arranged, but the eldest young master of the Bei family in Beidou has sent word, hoping that you'll attend tonight's charity banquet. On time, the Bei family, the corner of my mouth twitched up, the very same Bei family that claims to control half of Beta's electronics industry. In my past life, the Bei family would completely collapse in 2 years due to a broken capital chain. But right now, they're still the high and mighty titans of Beidou. Young Master Bei inviting me at this crucial moment is clearly a show of force against an outsider. From Jiangcheng like me, Miss Bai warned us that the Bei family's methods are ruthless, and they have no bottom line. Should we decline this banquet?
Why decline?
They've already set the stage. If I don't go up, how can the show go on? The plane landed smoothly at Beidou International Airport. I stepped out of the cabin, and the dry, cold air hit my face. I adjusted my suit collar and strode toward the black Hongti waiting outside. The car drove steadily into the city center. The red walls and green tiles outside the windows slowly passed by. My heart was unusually calm. Countless supercars were gathered in front of the charity club. A waitress in an elegant cheongsam led me inside. As soon as I stepped into the hall, the bustling chatter suddenly died down. Countless scrutinizing eyes simultaneously locked onto me. Bei Chuan, the eldest young master of the Bei family, stood right in the middle of the crowd, leisurely swirling a glass of wine, his eyes carrying a deep-seated arrogance. Seeing me, his lips curled into a mocking smirk. Seeing me, his lips curled into a mocking smirk. And he raised his voice. Well, well.
Isn't this Fan Texi?
The guy making waves in Zhongcheng. Boss Fan doesn't look like he has 3 heads and 6 arms, does he? The crowd immediately erupted in laughter. I ignored Bei Chuan's provocation, walked straight to a nearby sofa and sat down. Young Master Bei I 3 heads and 6 arms would make me a monster. I'm just an ordinary guy who likes making money. Making money. Money in Beidou isn't that easy to make. I heard you want a piece of the electronic chip pie. I advise you to crawl back to wherever you came from. Otherwise, you'll end up losing even your underwear. With that, he took the wine glass in his hand and slammed it down on the table in front of me. Wine splashed all over the table and onto my pant leg. I slowly took out a handkerchief and wiped the wine stain off my pants. Then I looked up, meeting Bei Chuan's eyes with a calm gaze, and enunciated every word. Young Master Bei, instead of worrying about my underwear, you'd be better off worrying about the Bei I family's batch of raw materials currently seized. About the Bei I family's batch of raw materials currently seized in Southeast Asia. If I remember correctly, that shipment is the BEI family's lifeline this year, isn't it? Bei Chuan's face instantly changed, going from pale to ashen, and finally, deathly white. The Bei I family had kept that matter strictly under wraps, mobilizing all their connections to suppress it. Outsiders absolutely couldn't know, yet I could just casually blurt it out. He stared at me, a look of terror appearing in his eyes for the first time. The banquet is very interesting, but I don't care for young Master Bei's wine. I stood up, adjusted my suit jacket, and under everyone's watchful eyes turned and walked away. Back at the hotel, I immediately issued my first order. Go to the underground casino in Nansheng, find a man named Lao Lu, and bring him here. His debt, ill pay double. Lu Ruyan quickly jotted it down beside me. An hour later, Lao Lu was brought to my room. He was covered in injuries, his face bruised and battered. And the moment he saw me, he dropped to his knees. Boss Fan, please save me. Bei Chuan is going to kill me. He's definitely going to kill me. He won't be able to kill you. Give me the actual accounting data for the BEI family's electronics division, and I'll send you abroad, guaranteeing your safety for the rest of your life. Lao Liu hesitated for less than 3 seconds, before immediately nodding in agreement. Having obtained the BEI family's core accounting data, I wasn't in a rush to make it public, but directly called Bai Ningbing. You move fast. The BI family just made a move, and you've already got them by the throat. Boss Bai, get your capital ready. Tomorrow, as soon as the market opens, we're going to swallow the BEI family's core industries whole. Hanging up, I walked over to the window and gazed at the night view of Beidou. The next day, just half an hour after the stock market opened, 3 listed companies belonging to the BEI family simultaneously plummeted to rock bottom. An uproar broke out inside the stock exchange. The Beidou tycoons who had been watching from the sidelines could no longer sit still. What's going on? The BEI family is being maliciously shorted. Who has the guts to mess with the BEI family? I sat in the VIP room of the exchange, with several computers set up in front of me. Bai Ningbing sat beside me, her fingers flying across the keyboard, continuously issuing trading orders. Fan, Texi, the data you provided is absolutely ruthless. The BEI family's capital chain is completely broken. They basically have no way to turn this around. This is just the interest. Yesterday, Bei Haichuan said I didn't have the right to make money in Beidou. I have to show him what having the right looks like. Right then, Bei Chuan frantically burst through the VIP room doors. Without a shred of the arrogance he had yesterday, he lunged at me, reaching out to grab my collar, but was immediately pinned to the floor by the bodyguards beside me. Fan Texi, you lunatic. You're digging your own grave. Beidou's capitalists won't let you off the hook.
Absolutely not.
Young Master Bei, you're mistaken. Beidou's capitalists only follow the strong, and right now, to them, you no longer have any value to exploit. I signaled the bodyguards to throw Bei Chuan out. Lu Ruyan stood to the side, watching the once arrogant and defiant Bei Chuan now being dragged away like a dead dog, and she let out a soft sigh. Stop being sentimental. Notify the finance department to start taking over the BEI family's core assets. I walked out of the exchange, the sunlight outside a bit dazzling. On the 7th day after the Bei family's collapse, Dynasty Capital's Beidou branch was officially established. The opening ceremony was incredibly grand. At the ceremony, the Beidou tycoons who once didn't even spare me a glance were now all smiles and flattery.
Lining up to toast me.
Boss Fan is truly a young prodigy with a limitless future. From now on in Beidou, we hope Boss Fan will look out for us. Easy to say, let's all get rich together. Lu Ruyan, wearing an elegant black evening gown, gracefully navigated among the guests, helping me handle the trivial socializing. Bai Ningbing walked over, smiling. Boss Fan, congratulations! Now everyone in Beidou knows that you, Fan Texi, have the Midas touch. If it weren't for Boss Bei's capital support, I wouldn't have been able to swallow the BEI family so quickly. Bai Ningbing smiled, something new appearing in her eyes that wasn't there before. We're not just partners now. We're a community of shared interests. I looked at the bustling crowd below, suddenly recalling the first day of my rebirth, recalling when Lu Zhengguo slapped that 8 million yuan check right in my face. The ceremony ended. I stood on the top floor balcony of the branch, taking in the entire magnificent skyline of Beidou. Boss Fan, the flight back to Jiangcheng tomorrow morning is booked. Good. I turned and walked toward my desk. The setting sun cast its glow on my back. The waters of the Jiangcheng River continued to flow endlessly. After returning from Beidou, I didn't rest at all. Immediately diving into our global market expansion strategy,
Lu Ruyan stood behind me.
expertly organizing the files for a cross-border M&A deal. Boss Fan, the big shots in North American tech are getting antsy. They sent a joint letter, wanting to buy out our foundational AI algorithm. The price they're offering is incredibly tempting. Buyout, they're just afraid of being left completely in the dust. Tell them, Dynasty Technology doesn't sell its tech. Lu Ruyan hesitated for a moment, then spoke again. There is one more thing. My dad was discharged from the hospital yesterday. Before heading back to our hometown, he wants to personally cook you a meal, to thank you for helping him pay off all his debts. That won't be necessary, Miss Lu. I've already said, it's strictly business between us. Buy him a decent retirement home in Yuncheng. Just deduct the money from my personal account. Lu Ruyan's movements suddenly stiffened. She lowered her head, her shoulders trembling slightly. Get back to work. This afternoon, Bai Ningbing and I have a very important cross-border cooperation meeting. Don't make any mistakes. She took a deep breath, turned around, and quickly walked out of the office. After the cross-border cooperation dinner ended, I took a walk alone by the Jiangcheng River. The night wind was chilly. Lu Ruyan jogged after me, holding a windbreaker in her hands, and gently draped it over my shoulders. She looked at me, her eyes hiding a surge of emotion she had suppressed for a long time. Fan Texi. If you hadn't taken that check in the beginning, if you were still that poor boy with nothing to his name, would you? Even just a little bit. Still love me like before? I stopped and slowly turned to look at her. The riverside lights cast a glow on her face, making her look pale. The cheapest thing in this world is belated affection. Your regret now is simply because I'm standing at the top, possessing everything you want. If the person you saw was still that guy braving the rain to bring you an umbrella, that dirt poor Fan Texi waiting on you hand and foot, you'd only feel disgust. Her body jolted violently, her eyes instantly turning red. I know I was wrong. I truly regret it. For the past half year watching you climb to the top step by step, I finally realized that what I threw away was the most precious treasure in this world. It's too late. Some wrong paths once taken can never be reversed. I gently pushed her away, letting the windbreaker slip to the ground, and turned to leave. Behind me, Lu Ruyan's sobs echoed as she collapsed onto a bench. But it didn't stir my heart in the slightest. The night before Dynasty Technologies' global product launch, Bai Ningbing suddenly brought her legal team and showed up at my office, holding a capital increase agreement. Fan Texi, the Bai family wants to invest more. We want a 40% stake in Dynasty Technology. Boss Bai, are you trying to usurp the host? I took the agreement and skimmed through it, a cold smirk appearing on my lips. Bai Ningbing walked up to me, leaning both hands on my desk.
This is the Bai family patriarch's intention.
If you don't agree, all the AI labs and the Bai family's supply chain in the south will go on a full strike tomorrow.
Boss Bai, do you think that since I dared to let you buy in?
I wouldn't leave myself a backup plan. I chuckled, opened my laptop, pulled up a hidden corporate structure chart, and placed it in front of her. Bai Ningbing's eyes fell on the screen, and her face instantly turned from pale to ashen. She was shocked to discover that all the core code keys for Dynasty Technologies algorithms were entirely distributed across the servers located beneath the old factory in Nanchang that I had acquired from the Liu family earlier, and that piece of land was entirely my personal property. The Bai family's labs and supply chain were nothing more than empty shells without a soul. Boss Bai, if the Bai family wants to pull their capital, be my guest, but without me. The Bai family's so-called AI labs are just a pile of scrap metal. Bai Ningbing stared at me, her eyes swirling with reluctance, anger, and a hint of helplessness. After a long while, she suddenly burst out laughing. She put the agreement away, looked at me and said, Fan Texi, you really are a madman. It seems I have no choice but to be a good little partner. Now that's the choice of a smart person. Happy cooperating, Boss Bai. Watching her walk away, I wiped a bead of cold sweat from my forehead. The venue for the global product launch was packed to the brim, the lights converging on the center of the stage. Below sat political and business elites, tech tycoons, and media reporters from all over the world. Lu Ruyan stood at the edge of the stage, nervously clenching her fists. I adjusted my tie and suit jacket. Amidst the thunderous applause of the entire hall, I slowly walked up to the podium. Good evening, everyone. Today, we are going to define the future. As I pressed the remote in my hand, On the giant screen behind me appeared a demonstration video of the multi-purpose artificial intelligence system of Dynasty Technologies' first generation. At that moment, the entire hall fell dead silent, followed immediately by deafening cheers and gasps of amazement. Camera flashes went off non-stop.
My God.
This technology is 20 years ahead of its time. The excited chatter below was endless. After the press conference, Lu Ruyan hurried over to me, her eyes brimming with excitement. Boss Fan, we did it. This is just the beginning. Notify the legal department to immediately prepare a draft. For establishing global AI industry standards, we have to be the ones setting the rules of the game, not the ones following in others' footsteps. Bai Ningbing walked over and generously gave me a hug. She whispered in my ear, the Bai family is completely in awe. From now on, wherever Dynasty Capital goes, the Bai family will follow. I pushed open the hall doors and stepped out. Outside was a starry sky and flashing cameras. I declined all interviews and went up to the rooftop alone. The wind on the roof was strong, blowing my hair wildly. I finally understood. The greatest meaning of rebirth isn't to take revenge on those who hurt me, but to give myself the power to decide my own fate. A year later, I set aside all my work and returned to Yuncheng. Everything here was as familiar as before. Only the Liu and Fang families had long since faded away. I wore a black windbreaker, holding a bouquet of white chrysanthemums, and went alone to the cemetery in the suburbs. Standing before a nameless tombstone where I was buried in my past life. I've lived your life for you and taken your revenge. You can rest in peace now. Setting the flowers down, I turned around and saw Lu Ruyan standing not far away, quietly looking at me. She had resigned and was now working as a teacher at an elementary school in Yuncheng.
Wearing a simple linen dress.
Boss Fan, long time no see. Long time no see. Teacher Liu. We chatted like ordinary friends, asking about each other's recent lives. No lingering attachments. No melodrama, just a calmness like waking from a long dream. Then we passed each other by, walking in two different directions. Right then, Bai Ningbing called. Her voice was filled with excitement. Big Boss Fan, I've got good news for you. Dynasty Capital's market value has surpassed the $1 trillion mark.
I know.
Where are you heading next? To a place where no one knows who I am, to get a really good night's sleep. Hanging up, I turned off my phone. Took that 8 million yuan check out of my pocket, now yellowed with age, gently tore it to pieces. The scraps of paper scattering in the wind, finally falling into the rolling ocean waves. To hell with love, to hell with dignity, to hell with a pathetic past. In this life, I'm living brilliantly. I walked toward the sports car parked by the road, started the engine, and disappeared at the end of the road. The legend of Fan Taxi continues. The car sped along the coast, and my mind unconsciously flashed to the image of Bai Ningbing. On the third day after returning to Jiangcheng, Dynasty Technologies' victory banquet was held at the Yunding Sky Palace. My eyes involuntarily drifted toward the corner of the banquet hall. Bai Ningbing was leaning lazily, speaking fluent English with foreign tech tycoons. Today, she wasn't wearing her usual black suit, but instead wore a long, burgundy dress. As if sensing my gaze, she looked up and met my eyes, raising her wine glass toward me for a toast from afar. The party was only halfway through, but I was already sick of this social mingling. So I made an excuse to leave and stepped out onto the balcony for some fresh air. Soon, the crisp clicking of high heels echoed behind me. Big Boss Fan sure knows how to slack off. You've hit $1 trillion in market cap and you're not excited at all. It's just a string of numbers. The Bai family made a fortune following you this time, didn't they? She took a sip of her wine, a flash of seriousness crossing her eyes. Honestly, Fan Taxi, I've never admired anyone before. But you're the first. Starting with 8 million yuan in Yuncheng, to the $1 trillion business empire you have now. It took you less than a year. No one can match that kind of capability. I stayed silent. This woman understood my ambitions, knew my methods, wasn't afraid of my coldness, and was perfectly matched with my status.
What are you thinking about?
Seeing me lost in thought, she asked softly. I snapped back to reality and looked straight into her eyes. Reflected in them were the city lights of Jiangcheng, and a clear reflection of me. I was thinking, finding a worthy rival in this life
Isn't easy.
Oh,
Isn't easy.
oh, is CEO Fan admitting defeat? Not admitting defeat. I just feel that. Instead of being rivals for life, we might as well be comrades for life.
And not just comrades in business.
The moment those words left my mouth, I was stunned, but looking into her eyes, I knew this was the truest thought from the bottom of my heart. She looked at me, the surprise in her eyes gradually fading, replaced by a mix of complex emotions. After a long while, she wrapped her arms around my neck and gently leaned in close. Fan Taxi, you said it yourself. Don't regret it. We didn't announce our relationship to the world, but we didn't intentionally hide it either. In the offices of Dynasty Capital, we were still partners fighting side by side, but in private, we were each other's weakness and armor. Half a year later, Dynasty Capital officially announced its expansion into aerospace, becoming the first domestic private enterprise to step into the commercial aerospace industry. As soon as the news broke, it shocked the world once again. After the press conference ended, I held Bai Ningbing's hand and calmly appeared before the media's cameras. The future of Dynasty Capital is the vast sea of stars, and my future has her in it. Bai Ningbing leaned on my shoulder, a radiant smile on her lips. Fan Texi and I are both partners and lovers. From now on, we will walk hand in hand and make the name Dynasty Capital echo throughout the universe. Camera flashes went off non-stop, capturing this moment. In the days that followed, Bai Ningbing and I fought side by side, continuing to expand Dynasty Capital's business empire. We marched into the aerospace sector, launching the first commercial satellite. Belonging to Dynasty Capital, we delved deep into AI, bringing Dynasty Tech's AI systems into thousands of households. We expanded into new energy, taking China's new energy technology to the global stage. The name Dynasty Capital didn't just resonate throughout China, but echoed across the globe, and Bai Ningbing and I became the most envied power couple in the business world. Someone once asked me what the luckiest thing in my life was. I always think back to the day of my rebirth, when Liu Zhenguo slapped that 8 million yuan check in my face. That was the starting point of my new life. I also remember that night on the balcony in Zhangcheng. The moment I met Bai Ningbing, her appearance brought entirely new colors to my life. I think the luckiest thing in my life is nothing other than getting a second chance at life, seeing through people's hearts, accumulating immense wealth, and meeting the person who can stand by my side to take in the vast sea of stars. Sometimes I still think about the past in Yunqing and think of Liu Ruyan, but my heart has long since let go of any lingering attachments. When passing by the elementary school in Yunqing, I even saw her from a distance once. She was wearing a simple linen dress, gently teaching the children to read. I just took one look from afar, then turned around, took Bai Ningbing's hand, and kept walking.
The me of today.
Has a soulmate by my side,
Ah, multi-billion-dollar empire behind me.
and a bright, starry future ahead. The car drove onto the coastal highway again, and Bai Ningbing rested her head on my shoulder. Her breathing was steady, sleeping peacefully. The sea breeze blew through the cracked window, carrying a hint of saltiness. This road is still very long. Just like the journey I'm about to embark on, Dynasty Capital is now a trillion-dollar giant. But I know better than anyone that this is just the beginning. But things are different now. Before, I was holding the fort alone, but now I have her by my side. That 8 million yuan check has long been shredded, washed away by the ocean waves, without a single scrap left behind. Just like the people and events of the past, what needed to be let go has long been let go. Living a second life, I've made my fortune, built my empire, and met the right person. In the days to come, it'll just keep driving with her, moving forward together. The sunlight grew warmer. Bai Ningbing shifted on my shoulder, murmuring softly. I leaned down and nuzzled her forehead, then gripped the steering wheel tightly, driving toward the horizon. The story of Fan Texi is still far from over.